pagbati na may ngiti sa aking mga labi. Naghahanap ba kayo ng makakatuwang sa pagre-review ng inyong anak? Meron yan sa DepEd. Ang ETUlay online tutorial ay libre at handog ng ating kagawaran sa pangunguna ng OUA ICTS EdTech. Ito ay isang proyektong makatutulong sa mga mag-aaral, katuwang ang mga magulang o kasama sa kani-kanilang tahanan para masagutan at maunawaan ang mga modules. Hangad din ng programang ETUlay ang matulungan ang ating mga guro sa kanilang mga blended learning classes. Ang ating ETUlay ay mula kinder hanggang senior high school. Bukod sa academics, meron din tayong mga special programs gaya ng All is Wellness, Reading and Math Remediation, Storytelling, Mommy Tech Talks, Classes sa Gramatika, Speech Class, Financial Literacy, at marami pang iba. Pinalawig din ng ETUlay ang ating Alive program para sa mga mag-aaral mula grade 1 hanggang grade 3. Gayun din ay mayroon tayong ALS program at SPED tutorials na makasisigurong makakamit ng lahat ang inclusive education. May SPED hotline na rin para sa inyong mga katanungan patungkol sa special education. Kaya, subaybayan mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes, mula 9:00 ng umaga hanggang 7:00 ng gabi ang ating ETUlay. Sa ating pagtutulungan, maiaangat natin ang bawat isa. Ating itutulay ang pagkatuto upang di mapigil ang pag-aaral ng kabataang Pilipino. Itulay natin ito, sulong edukalidad.
Mabuhay! Good day to all! I am your tutor Madge. Welcome to ETUlay, a free online tutorial, an initiative of the Department of Education, Information and Communications Technology Service, Educational Technology Unit, ICTS EdTech. This program is aimed at helping and assisting learners from kindergarten, senior high school, ALS, Alive, and SPED learners. Aside from answering the modules, the ETUlay is offering programs which you will surely look forward to. Together with our parents and teachers, the ETUlay will bridge the gaps where difficulty and ease meet in learning new knowledge and skills. So, let us prepare our modules, pen and paper. Ready your mind to see and hear worthwhile and interesting lessons. Let us now study and learn, together with our volunteer online tutors. Tara na!
Ayan, so good afternoon to each and every one of you. Kamusta naman ang kayo lahat? Ayan, so it's been 2 weeks since we've last met. Okay, dahil kasi nung last week ay nagkaroon tayo ng break dahil sa Holy Week. In celebration of Holy Week, kaya nagkaroon tayo ng break. Hindi tayo muna nakita nung last week. However, ngayon ay simulan na din ang ating fourth quarter. So isang quarter na lang at matatapos na tayo sa ating DepEd ETUlay online tutorial for grade 6 mathematics. Okay, so ayan. So muli, good afternoon po sa inyo lahat. Narito mo lang inyong tutor for grade 6 mathematics. Ako ang inyong tutor, si Tutor Andre, ang inyong math bay. Kasama ko din, backstage, of course, ang director natin. Of course, ang kasama ko din na si Tutor Prince, ang inyong Prince of Math. Ayan. So, dahil fourth quarter na at malapit na din tayong matapos na ating school year, ay, of course, syempre, pinaganda muna namin ang ating bagong background. Ayan. So, napakaganda ng ating background sa ating DepEd ETUlay ngayon. Ayan. So, magandang design, no? So, ayan. So, to start off, ayan, we have, this should be Math 6. Okay, correction lang po. Ayan. So, this is Math 6. So, grade 6 po ito. Volume of solid figures, no? So, we will start with Math 6. For quarter for week 1, volume of solid figures. Ayan. So, of course, lagi na kami abangan ni Tutor Prince every Friday, 1 o'clock to 1:40 p.m. via our FB and YouTube pages. sa ating DepEd EdTech Unit, DepEd tayo, DepEd Philippines, DepEd EdTech at DepEd TV. Maraming salamat po. Ayan. Okay, so we'll get started with our lesson. Before that, special thanks to our dear teachers sa ating division office for lending us the module that we're going to use for today. Ayan, sa ating development team. Maraming salamat po sa pagpapahiram ng module na ginamit po natin sa ating live session for today. By the way pala, muti ko makalimutan, batiin muna natin na mabilisan lamang yung ating mga viewers, mga avid viewers natin sa ating DepEd ETUlay FB page. And si Roxy Lynn, Florida, Sigsang Pagita, watching from SDO Batangas, Tilambo Elementary School, si Flodifel Cruz, si Francis Joseph M. Cruz, ang kanyang school ay Rufino Cruz Memorial Elementary School sa SDO Bulacan, District of Pulilan. Ayan. Kanyang teacher si Ma'am Melanie Cabarubias, principal si Sir Rio Bernadette, Ma'am Rio rather, Bernadette Tovera, grade 6 Venus. Ayan. Grade 6 Venus. Si Princess Lorraine Del Rosario, of course, good afternoon po, watching from Abangan Sur Elementary School. Si Bianca Joy D. Lambon, watching from Abangan Sur Elementary School. So yun yung mga viewers natin. Si Adrian Ray Rivera na belated happy birthday anak. Ayan. Watching from San Pedro Villa Concepcion Elementary School, Ross East District SDO Isabela. And si Kevin Martin Doluntab, watching from Sorsogon East Central School, Sorsogon City, grade 6 SSES. Ang kanyang advisor si Ma'am Jessica Ramiscal. Ayan. So marami naman tayong mga viewers. Si Gerald RV Cantor, watching from San Pedro Villa Concepcion Elementary School, SDO Isabela. Si Gwyneth Legas Pina Tolentino, Aurora Quezon Elementary School, SDO Quezon City. And of course, sina Ian Gale and Priya Jane Kuyugan. Good afternoon sa inyo. Ayan, so what are the objectives of the lesson for today? At the end of this session, you will be able to determine and explain the relationship of the volume between a rectangular prism and a rectangular pyramid, a cylinder and a cone, and a cylinder and a sphere. So, kung maalala ninyo nung last quarter or last session natin, di ba, na-discuss natin yung surface area ng mga space figures or yung mga solid figures. This time, we're now going to discuss the volumes of space or solid figures. Ayan. So, parang alam mo na natin ating mga solvemates of the quarter 3 week 8 or yung ating finale week. So, sino-sino nga bang ating mga solvemates of the week? Ayan. So, isa-isay natin. Sina Ian Gale R. Dilay, Maria Riana Meticia T. Sempron, si Henry Stephen P. Kadapan, si Kevin Martin J. Doluntap, si Alessandro B. Sandoval, si Gwyneth Angeline L. Tolentino, Gracie N. Kionisala, Alia Judiel B. Javier, Adrian Ray Rivera, Nerwin P. Negal Jr., Gerald R.V. D. Cantor. Ayan. So, yan yung ating mga solvemates for today. Congratulations ulit. Okay, so let's now discuss our lesson for today for quarter 4, week 1. So, simulan natin sa volume. So, ano nga bang ibig sabihin ng volume? Ayan. So, usually, alam natin volume, di ba? Yung minsan, nakikita natin sa remote control or sa television, di ba? Yung paghina or paglakas ng volume ng sound, no? This time, of course, meron din tayong volume sa mathematics. And volume is the measurement of the total space occupied by a solid. So, yung pinaka-loob ng isang solid figure, yung space na occupied or contained in a solid. So, volume also is the amount of space measured in cubic units, ayan, that an object or substance occupies. So, unlike area, di ba, kung maalala niyo ang area or surface area, di ba, we are measuring in square units. This time, kapag pinag-uusapan naman ng volume ng isang space or solid figure, that is we measure in cubic units. So meaning, yan mga examples ng units of volume. So we have cubic centimeters, of course, cm cubed. The next one is cubic meters or meters cubed. We have the cubic inches or inches cubed, and we have cubic feet. And we write it in that way. Okay, so yan yung mga kailangan ninyong gagamitin na units whenever we are going to solve volume of solid figures. Okay, now let's start off with the volume of a rectangular prism. So as you can see, that is a rectangular prism. So how are you going to find the volume of a rectangular prism? So to find the volume of that, so we are going to compute the formula for the volume, that is, in general, the volume capital V, so volumes, capital letter V, of any prism, so that is depending on the prism given. So we are going to use the formula for the volume, which is the area of the base, so that is represented by capital B times the height of the prism. Okay, so again, capital B is the area of the base, and small h is the height of the prism. So now, the base of the rectangular prism, of course, as the name suggests, is a rectangle. So therefore, since rectangle yung ating base, so we're going to use the formula for the area of rectangle. So if you recall, the area of rectangle, that is given by length times width. So L is the length and W is the width. So in that case, when we replace the area of the base by length times width, so therefore, the formula for the volume of the rectangular prism is denoted by V equals to L times W times H, or length times width times height. Ayan. So that's the representation of the length, width, and height of the rectangular prism. So you just simply multiply the length, width, and the height of the prism. Okay. Now, let's proceed to the next. Ayan. So for example, if you're given the length, width, and height of the prism, or the rectangular prism particularly, which are 8 centimeters, 3 centimeters, and 4 centimeters respectively. So how are we going to get the volume of that? So again, just simply multiply the length, width, and height. So that is volume equals to 8 centimeters times 3 centimeters times 4 centimeters. So therefore, by simple multiplication, 8 times 3 times 4 is equal to 96. So therefore, we have the volume of the rectangular prism equal to 96 cubic centimeters. Again, since this involves volume, so we are going to indicate our units in cubic centimeters. Okay, do not forget that. Okay, let's have another solid figure. Let's have a rectangular pyramid. So how are you going to get the volume of a rectangular pyramid? Yeah, so in general, the volume V of any pyramid is given by volume equals to 1/3 times the area of the base times the height of the pyramid. So 1/3 times capital B times H. Ayan yung formula na gagamitin natin whenever we get the volume of a rectangular pyramid. So since we have a rectangular pyramid, so its base is, of course, obviously, rectangle. So from that, we are going again to use the area of the rectangle. And again, area of the rectangle is denoted by length times width. So in that case, to be able to get the volume of the pyramid, that is, we replace the area of the base by L times W. So we have already the formula for the volume of a rectangular pyramid. So that is volume equals to 1/3 times length times width times height. So L is the length of the base, which is the length of the rectangle. W is the width of the base, or the width of the rectangle, and H is the height of the pyramid. So as you can see, the height is, of course, from the apex, it forms a right angle to the base of the pyramid. Okay, so let's have here an example. So suppose the given length, width, and height of the rectangular pyramid are 5 centimeters, 4 centimeters, and 6 centimeters respectively. So how are you going to find the volume of the rectangular pyramid? So again, Just simply replace the length, width, and height by their values. So therefore, the volume is equal to 1/3 times 5 centimeters times 4 centimeters times 6 centimeters. So therefore, volume is equal to 1/3 times 120 cubic centimeters. Of course, 5 times 4 is 20. Then times 6 is 120. So we multiply them all. We have 120. And then you multiply 120 by 1/3. So 1/3 times 120, or just simple division, 120 divided by 3, that is equivalent to 40 cubic centimeters. Or the other way around, so you may do the cancellation. You may cancel here 3 and 6, since 3 and 6 can be simplified by cancellation. Since 6 is divisible by 3, so you have 6 divided by 3 is 2. So therefore, you'll be having 5 times 4 times 2. So 5 times 4 is 20, times 2 is 40. Of course, you multiply that by 1, still the number itself, 40. So therefore, the volume is 40 cubic centimeters. And again, do not forget, always put the word cubic whenever we solve for the volume of a certain solid figure. Okay, so the relationship between the volume of a rectangular prism and a rectangular pyramid. So ano bang napansin ninyong relationship ng volume nila? Did you notice something? Ayan, so let's compare. So on the left side, we have the rectangular prism with the length, width, and height of 8 centimeters, 6 centimeters, and 4 centimeters. And same with the right side, we have a rectangular pyramid. So what have you noticed with the given, with their volume? Okay, so the bases are congruent. So definitely rectangle, no? Ayan. And we have 6 centimeters and 4 centimeters. The length and width of the base. Then also the heights are the same. So the height is 8 centimeters, right? Yeah. And from that, we have the volume of the rectangular prism, that is V equals to L times W times H. So that's 6 centimeters times 4 centimeters times 8 centimeters. So that's 192 cubic centimeters when multiplied. So that's the volume of the rectangular prism. And then if you get the volume of the rectangular pyramid, so that's 1/3 times the length times the width times the height. So that's 1/3 times 6 centimeters times 4 centimeters times 8 centimeters. So you arrive at this one. So 1/3 times 192 cubic centimeters. So notice that we highlighted the 192 cubic centimeters, and as we all know, that is the volume of the rectangular prism at the left. And therefore, we arrive at 64 cubic centimeters. So that's the volume of the rectangular pyramid. So looking at the relationships, so we arrive at the given conclusion. So our conclusion is, if a rectangular prism and rectangular pyramid have congruent bases and have the same height, then the volume of the rectangular pyramid is 1/3 of the volume of the rectangular prism. Ayan. So ayun yung relationship between ang volume ng rectangular prism at ng rectangular pyramid. So tandaan nyo lamang, kapag ang both rectangular prism at rectangular pyramid ay may pares na bases at pares din ng height, then ang relationship ng volume nila ay ang rectangular pyramid's volume is just 1/3 of the volume of the rectangular prism. Or if we do the other way around, pwede din natin sabihin na ang volume ng rectangular prism is 3 times the volume of the rectangular pyramid. Okay. So let's have the next solid figure. So we have a cylinder here. So of course, to get the volume of a cylinder, so given the radius and the height of the cylinder, is we are going to use the formula volume equals to pi r squared h. Or that is pi times radius times times the height. Okay, so that's a formula in getting the volume of a cylinder. So for instance, you are given the radius of the cylinder 2 inches and the height of 6 inches. So how are we going to get the volume? So we just simply use the formula and then replace the given radius and height by their value. So that is volume equals to pi. Okay, since in our problem, we do not indicate pi equal to 3.14, pero kung halimbawang given sa problem na let pi equals to 3.14, then replace pi by 3.14. Pero since in our problem like this, wala tayong given na instruction na pi equals to 3.14, so we just let pi be there. So hindi na natin gagawin si pi. So ididikit lang natin si pi at the end. So we will be having volume equals to pi times the square of 2 inches times 6 inches. Of course, to solve for that, we are going to apply the order of operations, yung PEMDAS or yung GEMDAS, no? So we have to get the square of 2 inches first. So the square of 2 is 4. Of course, that's 2 times 2. So we now have pi times 4 inches squared times 6 inches. And of course, we multiply 4 square inches by 6 inches. So 4 times 6 is 24. So you'll be having 24 cubic inches. And then we multiply that by pi. So we just simply have to make 24 and pi beside each other. So we'll be having 24 pi cubic inches. So that is the volume of the cylinder. Okay, that is the answer. Okay, so let's have the volume of a cone. Ayan. So parang masarap mag-ice cream ngayon, ice cream cone, no? Sa sobrang init ng panahon. Ayan. Okay, so look at the given radius and height of the cone. So the volume of the cone is indicated by the formula. Volume equals to 1/3 times pi r squared h. Ayan. So nakikita nyo na ba yung relationship? Okay, sige, let's see. So again, suppose you're given the radius of 8 centimeters and the height of the cone is 18 centimeters. So how do you find the volume of a cone? So just like what we are doing earlier, so we just simply replace the variables or the radius and height by their value. So therefore, the radius is 8 centimeters, the height is 18 centimeters. So magiging 1/3 times pi, again, wala ulit naka-indicate na pi equals to 3.14. So we just let it be. Then multiplied by the square of 8 centimeters times 18 centimeters. So therefore, oops, sorry for that. So we just simply multiply the square of 8 first. So we have 8 times 8, so that is 64 square centimeters. And then we have to multiply 64 by 18. So 64 times 18 is 1,152. So you now have 1,152 cubic centimeters. And then we just simply multiply that by 1/3, or we just simply divide 1,152 by 3. So you'll have 384 pi cubic centimeters. Again, do not forget the units, cubic centimeters. Or i-cube lang natin, lalagyan lang natin na exponent na 3 yung centimeters. Okay, so that's the final answer. Now, again, let's try to look at the relationship between the volume of a cylinder and the volume of a cone. So, can you notice the difference between the two? Ayan. So, ano kaya ang napapansin ninyo? So, let's have, for instance, so notice that we have the cylinder on the left and the cone on the right side. So, we have first the radius or the radii. The plural of radius is radii. So, the radii are congruent. Of course, they are both 4 inches. Then also the heights of cylinder and the cone are the same or congruent. We have 9 inches. Then from that, if we're going to solve for the volume of the cylinder, we have pi r squared h. So again, replace r by 4 inches and h by 9 inches. So you'll have this, pi times the square of 4 inches times 9 inches. So simplify first the square of 4 inches. So that's 16 square inches. Then multiply that by 9 inches. So 16 times 9 is equal to 144 cubic inches. Then you multiply 144 by pi. So pagdikitin nyo lang yung dalawa. So that is 144 pi cubic inches. So that is the volume of the cylinder. Now, in our case, let's get the volume of the cone. So as you can see, we have volume of the cone is 1/3 times pi r squared h. So same scenario, tama yung r ng 4 inches, palit ng inches. So you'll have 1/3 times pi times the square of 4 inches times 9 inches. Simplify, first 4 squared, so you have 16. So we now have 16 square inches times 9 inches. Then we have 16 times 9 is 144 cubic inches. And then we multiply that by the fraction 1/3. So 1/3 times 144 is equivalent to, of course, before that, notice that we have 144 pi, and that is the volume of the cylinder, right? So let's continue. So again, we multiply 1/3 by 144. So that will be equal to 48 pi cubic inches. So therefore, that's the volume of the cone. Now, what will be the conclusion? So if a cylinder and a cone have the same height, then the volume of the cone is 1/3 of the volume of the cylinder. Ayan. So yun yung relationship ng volume ng cylinder at volume ng cone. So parang katulad lang din kanina sa rectangular prism and rectangular pyramid. So ganoon lang din sa volume ng cylinder and volume ng cone. So ang volume ng cone ay 1/3 ng volume ng cylinder. Or pwede rin the other way around, we have the volume of the cylinder is 3 times the volume of the cone. Okay. So let's proceed to the volume of a sphere. So the volume of a sphere is denoted by 4/3 times pi times r cubed. So the only given to the sphere is its radius. So kung ano man yung radius ng sphere, ay papalitan mo lang siya dun sa ating given formula. Okay. So let's have an example. Suppose the volume of the sphere, you're going to find the volume of the sphere whose radius is 7 centimeters. So paano mo mahahanap ang kanyang volumes? Again, tama lang yung radius ng 7 centimeters. So that will be 4/3 times pi times the cube of 7 centimeters. So get the cube of 7. So that's 7 times 7 times 7. So 7 times 7 times 7 is 343. So we therefore have 4/3 times pi times 343 cubic centimeters. And of course, since we do not have a denominator on 343, so that's over 1. So we multiply, or we cannot apply cancellation since we cannot divide 343 by 3. So we just simply multiply the numerators and the denominators. So that will be 4 times 343, that is 1,372. Then we have 3 times 1, which is 3. And then idikit mo na lang si pi. So that will be 1,372 pi over 3 cubic centimeters. So that's the volume of the sphere. Siyempre, again, kung may naka-indicate sa instructions na let pi equals to 3.14, then ang gagawin nyo na lang ay imumultiply nyo na lang yung 1,372 by 3.14 and then saka nyo i-divide sa 3, then you will be arriving at the approximate or estimated answer. Ayan. Okay. So let us now get or find the relationship between the volume of a cylinder and a sphere. So ano nga ba ang pinagkaiba nilang dalawa? Okay. So look at the radii. The radii of cylinder and sphere are congruent. Ayan. Then the height of the cylinder is twice the length of the radius. So that is the height is equal to 2 times r or 2r. Ayan. So that's the relationship. Okay. So for instance, you're given the radius of 9 millimeters. So how are you going to find their volumes? So height there of the cylinder is 18 millimeters because we multiply the radius by 2. So 2 times 9 is 18. So if you use the formula for the volume, volume is equal to pi r squared h. So again, replace R by 9 millimeters and replace H by 18 millimeters. Of course, so you have pi times the square of 9 millimeters times 18 millimeters. So we get first the square of 9. Square of 9 is 81. 9 times 9. Again, hindi 9 times 2, baka malito ulit kayo. 9 times 9 is 81. So we now have pi times 81 square millimeters times 18 millimeters. So again, we multiply 81 by 18. So 81 times 18 is 1,458. And then, idikit mo lang siya sa pi. So we now have volume of the cylinder is 1,458 pi cubic millimeters. Ayan. So that's the volume of the cylinder. Okay, let's see the sphere. Ayan. So we have the radius of the sphere, 9 millimeters. So the volume is 4/3 times pi times r cubed. So replace r by 9 millimeters. So that will become 4/3 times pi times the cube of 9 millimeters. So applying the order of operations. So we have to simplify first the cube of 9 millimeters. So that will be 9 times 9 times 9. So that's 729 cubic millimeters. Then we multiply that by 4/3. So you'll be arriving at 2,916 over 3 pi cubic millimeters. Okay, so ano kaya ang relationship nilang dalawa? So let's try to find out. Ano kaya sa tingin niyo ang relationship nilang dalawa? Okay. So the volume of the sphere is that, notice that 2,916 is the same as 2 times 1,458, which somehow the same as 2/3 multiplied by 1,458 times pi cubic millimeters. And what have we noticed? Notice that we have 1,458 pi cubic millimeters, which is the volume of the cylinder, di ba? So, since we have the volume of the cylinder, so therefore, ano na ang relationship ng volume ng cylinder at volume ng sphere? So, we arrive at the following conclusion. If a cylinder and a sphere have congruent radii, and the height of the cylinder is twice the length of the radius, then we can say that the volume of the sphere is 2/3 of the volume of the cylinder. Ayan. So, yan yung ating magiging conclusion. So, tandaan na ang volume ng sphere ay 2/3 ng volume ng cylinder. Ayan. Okay. So, hopefully, you are getting the relationships of the volumes of the following solid figures. Okay, let's have a practice here. Sige nga, using our chat box, let's try to answer this problem altogether. Ayan, so a rectangular prism has a volume of 21 cubic feet. A rectangular pyramid has the same base area and height as that of the rectangular prism. The question is, what is its volume? Okay, sige nga. Let's see who can find the volume of the rectangular pyramid. Okay, what is the volume of the rectangular pyramid given that the rectangular prism's volume is 21 cubic feet and both rectangular prism and rectangular pyramid have the same base area and same height? Sige nga, I'll be waiting for your answers. Anybody? Parang walang nagsasagot. I'm waiting for your answers in our practice. Oh. So, paano nga ulit ito? Ayan. So, waiting ako sa answers nyo. Ayan, may sumagot na. Okay, so according kay Gwyneth, sagot niya ay 7 cubic feet. Okay, so medyo magkaiba sila ng answer ni Mitisha. So si Mitisha ay 63 cubic feet. So ayan. So sumunod si Gerald RV Cantor, 7 cubic feet. Ayan. So let's see. Ano nga kaya ang relationship nilang dalawa? Okay. So if you're going to solve for this, so again, the volume of the rectangular pyramid is equal to 1/3 the volume of the rectangular prism. By the way, baka magkaroon kayo ng misconception, kaya po letter D ang ginamit for pyramid and M for prism. It is because we only get the last letter of the given solid figures. Kasi nga, they have the same first letter. So we get the last letter na lang. So the volume of the rectangular pyramid is equivalent to 1/3 the volume of the rectangular prism. So therefore, we get 1/3 of the volume of the rectangular prism. So that's 1/3 times the 21 cubic feet. So 1/3 of 21 is 7 cubic feet. So therefore, the volume is equal to 7 cubic feet. Okay, so wag nyong kalilimutan yan. Okay, let's proceed to the next problem. Another practice. Suppose you have the cylinder which has a volume of 45 pi cubic centimeters. Then we have a cone that has the same radius and height as that of the cylinder. The question is, what is its volume? Okay, so na, ano ang volume ng cone na kung saan daw ang cylinder ay may volume ng 45 pi cubic centimeters at magkaparehas ang radius at height ng cylinder and cone. Okay, so may sumagot na. So base sa nakita ko, si Tisha, she answered 15 pi cubic centimeters. Si Flodifel Cruz, sagot niya ay 15 pi cubic centimeters. So may question mark, patanong. Ganun din ang sagot ni Roxylene Florida, Winnet Tolentino, Carl Dominic Baliwas, 15 pi cubic centimeters. Okay, ganun din si Ian Gale. Okay, let's see kung tama ang 15 pi cubic centimeters. Okay, so we have the volume of cone is equal to 1/3 times the volume of the cylinder. So again, ang volume ng cone ay 1/3 ng volume ng cylinder. So therefore, we are going to get 1/3 of 45 pi cubic centimeters. Or we just simply divide 45 pi by 3. So 45 divided by 3 is 50. So therefore, the volume of cone is 15 pi cubic centimeters. So that's the final answer. Very good. Ang gagaling ng mga kids natin. Okay. So let's have the next one. Ayan. A cylinder whose height is twice the length of its radius has a volume of 45 pi cubic centimeters. A sphere has the same radius as that of the cylinder. The question is, what is its volume? Ayan. Okay, so again, ang cylinder daw, ng height daw ay twice ng length ng radius ay may volume na 45 pi cubic centimeters. At the same time, meron din given a sphere na kung saan kaparehas niya ang radius ng cylinder. Ang tanong, ano ang kanyang volume mo? Ano ang volume ng sphere? Okay. So yan, sumagot na. So nauna ulit si Mitisha, 30 pi cubic centimeters. 30 pi nga ba? 30 pi cubic centimeters. Yan, still waiting for the others. Okay, ganun din ulit ang sagot ni Roxylene, Florida, 30 pi cubic centimeters. Okay, sige, let's wait for another answer. Same nga ba sila ng sagot? Okay, ganun din ang sagot ni Eliza Jane Atrihino and Flodifel Cruz, 30 pi cubic centimeters. Let's see. So again, if you recall earlier, we have volume of the sphere is just 2/3 times the volume of the cylinder. So therefore, we get 2/3 of 45 pi cubic centimeters. So we multiply 2/3 by 45 pi. So of course, to multiply 2/3 by 45 pi, so we have to cancel 3 and 45. Since notice that 45 is divisible by 3. So 45 divided by 3 is 15. Then, saan mo siya i-multiply dun sa 2. So we now have 2 times 15 and we arrive at 30. Then, attach mo lang pi sa tabi ng 30. So we now have 30 pi cubic centimeters. So the volume of the sphere is 30 pi cubic centimeters. Okay, very good. Ang gagaling ng ating mga grade 6 students na nagsasagot sa ating FB Live. Ayan. Okay. So dahil dyan, I'll be giving you a homework. Okay. So this is our first homework for quarter 4, week 1. Okay. The question is, look at this, okay. The question is, a cylinder, a cone, and a sphere have the same radius length. The cylinder and the cone have the same height, which is equal to twice the radius length. The question is, describe the relationship between the volume of the sphere and the volume of the cone. So that's the question. Again, for your homework for quarter 4, week 1, for Math 6, week 1, a cylinder, a cone, and a sphere have the same radius length. The cylinder and the cone have the same height, which is equal to twice the radius length. Describe the relationship between the volume of the sphere and the cone. Okay, so again, please post your answer in our DepEd ETUlay FB page using our hashtags, Math6, hashtag Math6, tama. Hashtag Math6 Q4 week 1. Okay. So hashtag Math6 Q4 week 1. And also please use the hashtag ETUlay level up. Okay. Ayan. And as much as possible, para madali naming mapansin ni Tutor Prince ang inyong mga answers sa homework, please do also mention or tag us sa FB page. So again, please use the hashtags Math6Q4 week 1 and hashtag ETUlay level up. Ayan. Okay, so that will be your homework for today. And that will be, of course, syempre, yung ating mga students na makakatama ng sagot will be, of course, recognized sa ating duties of the week, sa ating mga soulmates. Okay, so with that, that's the end of the lesson. But before we end, ayan, so makikiusap po ako sa inyo, ayan. So sa lahat po ng mga nanonood sa kanilang mga screens, ayan. So this is the QR code for quarter 3 exemplary tutors nomination. So sa lahat po ng mga nakakapanood po sa akin, at ganoon din sa mga nakakilala sa akin, sa mga sabay-sabay na nanonood every Friday, kung sa tingin niyo ay deserve na ma-nominate ang inyong lingkod na si Tutor Andre to be exemplary tutor, ay mangyari lamang na mag-scan ang QR code na nakikita ninyo sa inyong mga screens right now. So itong QR code na ito ay available lamang from April 18 to April 23, 2022. So hanggang bukas na lang ang nomination para sa exemplary tutor. Ayan. So kung sa tingin nyo ay deserving ng inyong lingkod na mapasama sa exemplary tutor, then ngayon pala po ay maraming salamat po. Okay, so please scan this QR code na nakikita nyo sa mga screens right now. Or you may type the website bit.ly/ETUlay Q3 form. Maraming salamat po ngayon pala. And of course, for your comments, suggestions, and feedbacks and the like, also please scan this QR code. It is shown on your screens right now, and gusto namin malaman ng inyong feedbacks, comments, suggestions, and the like sa ating ETUlay online tutorial. Maraming salamat po. Or you may type this website, tinyurl.com/3Q stakeholders feedback. Maraming salamat po. And with that, thank you very much for listening and watching. So hope you learned something, grade 6 students. And of course, sa mga kakilala niyo dyan, mga grade 7 students. Up next is Tutor Rose Ann and Tutor Jolly for grade 7 mathematics. So muli, maraming salamat po. So together with Tutor Prince, abangan ulit kami every Friday from 1 p.m. to 1:40 p.m. via our FB and YouTube pages. Ako po ang inyong lingkod, Tutor Andre, saying, hope you learned something. Galingan pa natin, grade 6 students. Good luck and God bless. And thank you for listening and watching, and see you all next meeting. Keep safe and God bless. Bye-bye. Salamat.
Ang husay naman! Natapos mo ang iyong tutorial session kasama ang iyong mahusay na ETUlay tutor. May bago ka bang natutuhan? I-share na yan gamit ang hashtag #ETUlayLevelUp. Huwag aalis ha, dahil may susunod pang programa na pwede mo ring panoorin at salihan. Dahil naghihintay na ang iyong mga tutors. Happy learning dito sa ETUlay!